Since 2016, organizations across Prince Edward Island have been participating in a risk intervention model known as the Bridge Situation Table, which is focused on helping islanders. By rapidly connecting the existing resources and services of multiple agencies, the PEI Bridge Situation Table provides support to islanders who are experiencing acutely elevated risk of harm. The purpose of the bridge is to help people who are dealing with multiple risk factors and who face a high probability of harm occurring soon. For example, it could be individuals who are at risk of doing harm to others or becoming a victim themselves. Why this model? Prince Edward Island is a great place to live, work, and play. However, there are times we may all need some help with difficult life situations. In response, the province adopted this multidisciplinary, risk-based intervention process and customized it for islanders. Unlike other implementations of this model, which focus on cities and regions, the Prince Edward Island Bridge Situation Table is province-wide in scope. Overall, the mission and goals remain consistent to help vulnerable islanders at risk. How does it work? This approach doesn't just react to situations, but considers all the risk factors and identifies ways that responses can be improved for all islanders. This is an upstream approach to risk mitigation. To make this happen, a group of service providers meets every Tuesday and Thursday to address situations that involve acutely elevated risk of harm. The group applies the multiple lenses of different human service experts to consider the risk factors and look for ways to reduce any immediate risks. Then, they reach out to offer supports and connect individuals and families to a combination of services that lessen those risks. What about privacy? Privacy is paramount. This model has been refined in consultation with privacy experts across Canada to ensure it works within the bounds of existing privacy legislation. The 4-filter process, which guides the situation table procedures, was developed for this purpose. Fully trained representatives from different organizations come together twice each week for a situation table discussion. This structured conversation is led by a chairperson and follows specific guidelines known as the 4-filter process in order to respect the privacy of at-risk individuals. What is the 4-filter process? Filter 1, individual agency screening. This first filter happens away from the situation table. Representatives from agencies who have reason to believe that individuals and/or families are facing acutely elevated risk of harm can complete a referral form and submit it within their agency. If the situation meets the criteria for this initial threshold, the referral will be brought forward to the situation table for Filter 2 consideration. Filter 2, determination of acutely elevated risk of harm. Information that does not identify the people involved is reviewed to determine if an elevated risk of harm is present. This protects the privacy of the individuals and follows each agency's privacy guidelines. The representatives bring forward each referral so that the table of experts can determine if the situation meets the next threshold. In order to determine if there is acutely elevated risk, the table asks 4 key questions. Is there significant interest at stake? Significant interest usually refers to an individual or family, but could refer to an array of situations involving a vulnerable group, a dwelling, neighborhood, or environment. Is there probability of harm occurring? There is a reasonable expectation of harm to individuals if nothing is done. Is there significant intensity of harm? The harm would constitute damage or detriment and not just inconvenience to the individual. It's reasonable to believe that disclosure to the situation table would help prevent or minimize the anticipated harm. Is there a multidisciplinary nature of risk? The risk factors are beyond the referring agency's scope or mandate to mitigate the elevated level of risk. If there is a consensus that the situation meets these requirements, the process then moves to the next level. Filter 3, limited disclosure for agency recognition and to determine who should have a role. Limited disclosure of information is presented, and the table participants then pause to determine which agencies may have already been helping the individual or family, and to identify which agencies should become actively involved based on the risk factors that have been identified up to this stage. Only the agencies identified as having a role to play in an intervention will then move to a Filter 4 discussion, which will occur away from the rest of the table. No further details are shared with the full table. Filter 4, the intervention. The situation now moves away from the table so that only the appropriate agencies and people identified in Filter 3 are involved. During this discussion, the designated agencies will work together to support the individual or family and to offer help to reduce the risk of harm. As Prince Edward Island has only one situation table for the province, designated service providers across all regions carry out the intervention plans. This ensures that all areas of the island have representation at the table. The intervention process is about offering support and assistance that in many cases at-risk individuals were not previously aware of or were unable to access. It's not about enforcing or apprehending. It is about responding to risk, working to prevent incidents and crises, and doing things differently. Going forward, the Bridge Situation Table is an important initiative for the future of our province by moving further towards evidence and risk-based collaborative approaches to support people experiencing acutely elevated risk of harm. We are advancing ways we can work together to help islanders.